Lastly, flow states. This has been also part of the research that continues to show some benefits within mindfulness. Mindfulness being a bridge of sorts into high-performance flow states. I'm sure you've all heard that term, right, in athletics, even with musicians, artists even. The ability to drop into these flow states where they're so immersed in their work and what they're doing, and they perform at exceptionally high levels. Exceptionally high levels. There's a few of the key benefits, the whys of mindfulness that I find exciting, that I've experienced myself, I've seen clients experience that allow for increasing focus, driving better performance, and from that, reducing stress, and ultimately driving better outcomes. I'll tell you a little story about an executive at SAP, global software company. His name is Peter Boselman. Peter Boselman was the project engineer at SAP for about 10 years, and leading complex projects, and within that leading teams, lots of pressure, lots of tight deadlines. And he began to notice that within his work, he started to struggle a little bit with just keeping up with all the data, all the information. Didn't feel like he was able to show up in ways that continue to serve him best and his teams. And he was a little puzzled by it. Peter used to rely on working out, traditional ways of reducing stress and staying resilient, going to the gym, running, hiking, biking, things like that. And within his time there at SAP, and he's still there now, someone has said to him, hey, you might consider meditative work. And he just brushed it off immediately. He said, oh, that's not for me. I don't think it's going to be helpful. So he continued just to feel like his bandwidth wasn't as, let's say, robust and strong as he wanted it to be to manage projects, to keep showing up as he was intending. Someone else said to him, hey, Peter, you might want to consider, meditative work, mindfulness. So he reluctantly agreed. He went on actually a short retreat. And during that retreat, he discovered that he started to find a sense of his inner compass again. He felt more clarity. From there, he became more curious. He started to practice. He started to learn about the research that shows the benefits of mindfulness. And he then wanted to share it organizationally at SAP. Lots of resistance at the leadership levels above. They didn't think it would be worth the time or the investment, but he pursued it. And he eventually went on to become the Chief Mindfulness Officer at SAP. From there, he then rolled out mindfulness meditation globally to over 5,000 employees, 10,000 employees in their organization. And some of the data that they initially got back on the training and the investment was that they had a 200% return on that investment of training in mindfulness meditation for their employees. Saw upticks in productivity, saw upticks in retention of employees and reducing absenteeism. So he's just a great example of someone who has inspired me along the way to understand the benefits of mindfulness meditation personally, but also professionally and organizationally. Let me tell you a little bit about the neuroscience of mindfulness. Now, I might get a little excited when I talk about this, all right? And I wasn't a science guy or a kid back in my younger days. I was totally actually averse to science. I didn't like it at all. Now, as I'm older, I feel like I'm a science junkie or geek when it comes to neuroscience. So, this is what I find fascinating about mindfulness. This is what keeps drawing me in addition to the benefits I experience. And so if you look at these points here, starting at the top, the research has shown that mindfulness meditation activates neuroplasticity in the brain. What does that mean? So as you can see there, it helps then to strengthen positive neural connections. So every time we meditate, it's like flipping a switch to activate neuroplasticity. I don't know about any of you here this morning, like that fascinates me. That I can drop in and meditate for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and I'm flipping a switch to support my brain health, to reinforce positive neural connections that then allow me to show up in ways that are calm, focused, allow me to perform at high levels. So that piece I find just so intriguing. In addition to that, what happens in the brain is that when we drop into meditate, it's been shown that the prefrontal area of the brain where higher executive functioning resides, things like critical thinking, creativity, focus, that is also activated. So we're flipping another switch on that to activate that benefit. And then lastly, related to the amygdala, the limbic centers in the brain, those are the emotional centers of the brain. When we meditate, it's been shown that we're actually flipping a switch downward that downregulates our emotional centers, helps to create calmness in our headspace, emotional space. So I'm not sure about any of you if that intrigues you, excites you, but for me, it really has been intriguing to be aware of that, experience that, and then see others have similar experiences. And there's ample research. If you're curious, there's going to be some links at the end of the PowerPoint. There's a bookmarker for you here today with some other information that will continue to highlight some of these types of benefits. A little bit more about the neuroscience. Quick snapshot. If you look to your right there, you'll see an image of a brain prior to meditating. You'll see an image of brain 10 minutes after meditating. See the color differences. Those colors indicate a syncing of the left and right hemispheres in the brain. From that, there can be better memory, IQ, focus, higher executive functioning. So the neuroscience, the research, the studies have really been able to show ample benefit, which again continues to excite me as I teach it in organizations. How does this relate to performance? So, as I mentioned earlier, mindfulness can help with flow states. You've seen here already, right? It can help to create calmness in our headspace, emotional space. From there, if we have calmness, focus, right, I think we can agree there's going to be higher potential for high performance, right? So the studies show that as well. And I think we're all familiar with any golfers here? Any golfers? Yeah. One of the primary lessons, right, I think we've probably all heard if we ever had instruction or even maybe just talking with one of our friends, right, is don't grip the club so tightly, right? Grip it tighter, chances are you're creating more stress on the club. You're not going to have probably as good as a swing, right? It's not going to be as relaxed. And so, similar in our headspace, stress can narrow our perspective. It can have an impact on our ability to show up with empathy. It can have an impact on how we show up and can hold a space for others, especially as leaders. It can have an impact on our ability to listen intently. And so, through our mindfulness practices, cultivating that calmness, that focus, expanding our bandwidth to show up in those ways that best serve us, best serve our teams, our organizations. High performers who meditate. So here's a few on the left side organizationally who leverage benefits of meditative practices. Many of them use mindfulness. There are different types of meditative practices. We see in the middle some athletes, musicians to the right, many that we're familiar with. And when I look at these leaders, right, I don't know about you, one thing that stands out to me, particularly like the athletes and musicians, right, is this sense of self-mastery, right? If you're going to perform at their levels, right, like you have to have a sense of self-mastery. You need to know yourself. You need to know areas for growth, improvement. You need to have opportunities, do the reps, do the learning in order to build out the skillfulness, build out the creativity, build out the gifts that you have